Okay, okay.
Just follow this.
Welcome to Epic Lunch and Learn, the show where real estate meets real talk and your lunch break turns into a masterclass. I'm Dante Royster, mortgage broker, author, and your guide through the maze of money, markets, and mindset. Before we dive in today, don't forget to give this a like. Make sure you share it with friends and family, and let us know, if this is the type of topics that you want to hear about, learn about, and discuss. And make sure you drop comments. We are live right now on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So definitely drop us a comment if you have any questions or concerns. But before we dive in, I wanted to read something here. I want you to picture yourself. You've worked hard, you've built a life, you've invested in property, and then the tax bill shows up like an uninvited guest at the barbecue. It's bigger than expected. It eats into your budget, and suddenly that dream of financial freedom feels a little further away. But here's the good news. Just because the bill shows up doesn't mean you're powerless. There are strategies, systems, and yes, experts who know how to fight back and put money back where it belongs, in your pocket. And that brings us to our today's guest, Nancy King. She's a
Yes.
real estate specialist. And why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Nancy King, also the property tax queen.
I like that.
And so, go ahead, Dante.
No. I mean, definitely you over a decade, right?
Actually, probably three. I started in 1994 reducing property taxes.
Wow.
So over
1994.
3 decades.
3 decades. That's awesome. That is awesome. It's been a while too, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen you in about a decade myself.
And about a decade.
Yeah. I remember going down to Oak Forest. I remember
Yes.
that.
Yes. Yes.
Is
Yes.
that the same location? I'm just
No,
curious.
actually, I am in downtown Homewood now as of 2022.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
That is awesome. And you've done work on multi-units, commercial spaces, industrial properties, mixed-use developments. Is that correct?
Charitable organizations and religious organizations. Those two are my specialties, charitable and religious organizations. Yes.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the Epic Lunch and Learn. Wanted to talk about real estate taxes. Obviously, when people are getting mortgages and they're escrowing, they're including their taxes and insurance and their payment. And that tax really has, changes the game.
Yes, absolutely.
And people feel like they don't have any control. For people that are Cook County, the second largest county in the nation, we still haven't received our second installment bill just yet. We don't know what
No.
it's going to be, and we feel powerless. That all of a sudden this bill is just going to plop on our tables in our mailboxes, and we're expected to pay it.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, it's one of the bills that we have a little say so with, but at the same time, the Cook County is one of the highest taxing property taxes in the nation. So, and there are some remedies that you can potentially, help you to lower your property taxes. We're going to dive into it as soon as you and I get into it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I wanted to a couple things I wanted to make sure that we hit today: how to successfully appeal your property assessment,
Mhm.
finding and fixing common errors that are in tax records, and claiming exemptions that most homeowners overlook.
Absolutely. So, as I mentioned, I am Nancy King, the property tax queen. I make sure that, to the best of my abilities, that residential, commercial, and nonprofit organizations are paying their fair and equitable share, their fair piece of the pie for their property taxes. And one of the ways that we can lower as individuals, lower our property taxes, of course, is by appealing every year. The counties, the politicians, the state, they need to know that there's something going wrong with the property tax system in the state of Illinois. And how do we do that? We fight with an appeal. Everyone under the sound of my ears should be appealing their property taxes every single year, because they say the squeaky wheel gets the turn. And we need to step up. A lot of time I talk to people and they're like, oh, it's not going to change. And that's because we're not squeaking or speaking and stating to the politicians and to our county leaders that, hey, something is not going right here with our homes and specifically with our property taxes. So doing an appeal every single year will help individuals to make sure that their property can be lowered. Taxes can be lowered. Another thing is check your property characteristics. Make sure that your square footage is correct, and make sure that they have that in the assessor's property cards correctly. That could be causing your property taxes to be high. If they're stating,
Yeah, I got a stat on that. Studies show that between 20 to 40% of property assessments are incorrect, often
yes,
overestimating a home's value.
absolutely, absolutely. And so they can state you have a fireplace. They can state you have a garage. You may have torn down the garage and you don't no longer have it. So simple property characteristic errors such as those can actually cause your property to be improperly billed or increase in your actual value of your property tax bill.
So
And
let's take, well, why don't we take a step back on just basically property taxes? What are they, from a county perspective? What are they supposed to do?
okay.
And then let's try to build up from there for those that don't know and just pay it every month and don't know what they're doing.
Yes. So yeah, as you mentioned, it's you pay it every month in your monthly escrow with your property, with your mortgage bill, unless your property is free and clear. You pay it every twice a year. Mainly over the US, you pay it twice a year. So property taxes are calculated and used for the following purposes. Property taxes are used for schools, libraries, police, the roads, things of that nature. Mainly, if you look at your property tax bill, it will be approximately 60% or maybe 70% will be mainly for your schools, your school district, your local schools, your colleges, and the grammar school and high school. So most of the school district in your area, you're going to be paying it in property taxes, whether you have a child or not. And so that tax burden is supposed to be on the state. 51, it's a non-clear law that states that the state of Illinois is supposed to pay the property taxes, correct? We recall 20, 30 years ago that they legalized gambling with the casinos and a lot of different other things that they're stating that was supposed to go towards the school system. As of yet, I don't see that happening. Our property tax bills continue to be utilized for the schools and then also local governments such as trustees and aldermen and things of that nature. So when they retire, the burden is on the property tax owners. So we have a lot of things that goes into, there's a lot of dynamics that goes into the property tax bill system, hence why it's possibly high in the state of Illinois. If I'm not mistaken, Dante, I think we're probably the top 10 state with a lot of crooked politicians that have gone to jail. And, hence I can see why the property taxes are extremely high. So those are some of the things that they're used for.
To your point, I was just thinking, like you said, the recreational weed smoking, that was supposed to be, more, because obviously from a county perspective, if we bring in more money, you would think that should reduce everyone's taxes. But we just had that recent spike actually last year in Cook County taxes. And so it's like, well, where is this money going to?
Absolutely. So the state is supposed to be the burden of the educational system. And unfortunately, that's not happening. So I think if we change the law on that alone, it could probably shift the burden off the property owners, homeowners. In addition to, just don't always just say that, oh, okay, commercial properties, they're supposed to pay all the property taxes. They get tax incentives, tax TIFs, which cause them to have decreased property tax bill. So, hey, I'm coming into your village where I'm located, Homewood, but I get a 10-year tax break. So who's winning? So that's property taxes, the foundation of what goes what the property taxes goes towards. So how it's particularly calculated, property tax 101, I'm going to be very basic with this. So your property is assessed by your local county. That assessment equates to a market value, the value they give it in comparison to the calculation. It's what your property will sell for on the open market. So based on 2025, what will your property be valued at? Okay. And that's the number that they go by, which I think is not a very good number to me. I would suggest that based on the neighborhood, the income of the neighborhood, that property taxes should be valued by that alone, and not just only include what properties are valued at and at that particular time, because there are so many dynamics that goes into property taxes. So the state decides every year what they're going to multiply that market value of your property by. So the state has this rate, 2.5, 3.5, and then your local villages have a local village rate based on the things that they need for their police, firemen, libraries, as I mentioned, the roads and things of that nature for their villages. So the city of Chicago, the village of Homewood, the village of Schaumburg, the village of Frankfurt, they decide what is needed in their area. And they tell the state through the levies how much they need for the school. This is how much we think we need for our budget for next year. And so they decide this local rate as well. Those two rates are multiplied against your market value to decide, hey, this is your property tax bill. And then you, based on your legal disposition, can apply for tax credits, or we call in Cook County tax exemptions. They call it different things in different states. They could be stars, they could be called some other names that they call it. But in the state of Illinois, we call it exemptions. For my book purposes, I just call it tax credits. So it will lower your tax bill. So this is the amount that they state your property tax bill will be based on those two multiplying factors against your market value. The market value is stated by and created by the assessor, the local assessor. They state how much that your property is valued. And those two numbers are multiplied, gives your property tax bill. And then you as an individual, you are to inform sometimes the local county what your disposition is. So for example, Will County already kind of knows if a person is living in there, they automatically give you the homestead exemptions or homeowners exemption just for being a living individual in that property. Okay. So there's homeowners exemptions. There's seniors exemptions in the state of Illinois. Just being over 65, you can get a considerable discount. Then there's senior freeze exemptions. Excuse me. With the senior freeze, you have to be living in there at least 2 years. So for example, I'm 67 and then I move to another house and I want a senior freeze. No, I have to wait 2 years before I can get those senior freeze exemptions. Senior freeze is basically another discount. They're not freezing your taxes, just so you know. They're not freezing your taxes. They're only giving you another monetary discount or credit off your property taxes. So if you're over 65, you get an amount. But if you're over 65 and your total amount of household income, sister, brother, dog, cat, whomever is in there, and you all make less than $65,000, then you can legally receive senior freeze exemptions. Okay. And these are people that are just on title as well, we're referring to. Then there is disability. So maybe you have been disabled and you receive SSI and you own a home, you can receive a discount for property taxes. Maybe you're a disabled veteran. So based on your DD 214 and your qualification amount, 30%, 50%, 70%, 100%, you can get discounts based on your qualifications. which is stated on your DD 214. So anything under 70% under 69% under the state of Illinois, you can receive various increments of discounts. But if you're 70% or more in the state of Illinois, disabled as a veteran, you don't have to pay property taxes. Okay. Then there is the senior deferral. The senior deferral program is run through the treasurer's office, which is different from the assessor. All other exemptions are through the assessors, but with the senior deferral, you only have one time out the year as a senior. If you are over 65, make less than 65,000 a year, you can defer up to $7,500 off your property taxes and not pay it until you sell the home, or you die and your heirs have a year to pay back those property taxes while you're still accruing homeowners exemption, seniors exemption, senior freeze. So your property taxes will be still they're accruing a small interest rate based on the non-payment of taxes, but it's not a burden for homeowners or seniors that want to stay in their home and they don't want to go into a nursing home and they want to live comfortably in the home that they're living in. So that's another exemption that most people talk about. There are some other creative ways, Dante, that I like to mention, if that's okay, for homeowners exemptions as well. So, so if you have your mother living with you, correct? So if I'm have my mom living with me, she's over 65, I've been taking care of her, she's contributed to the bills, I can put her on title and receive those seniors exemptions, right? Because she's living with me. Okay. Mm-hmm. Also, one of the exemptions that most people are getting stuck with penalties and interest for are landlord exemptions. So it used to be that the assessor would only scrap the recorder of deeds every 3 years. But they're more sophisticated technology. AI is a lot better and faster, as we know. And so now they're scrapping every single year the recorder of deeds. So if your property had transferred ownership, one of the things that they're doing now, they're automatically removing exemptions. And that's not legal. They should not be removing exemptions until the following year. And let me tell you why. The law states that as of January 1st, who's ever entitled to that exemption, whether they're disabled, whether they're a senior, whether they're a disabled veteran, that property is entitled still the exemption for that year. And as you know, everyone, and not only in the state of Illinois, but nationwide, we pay our property taxes in the rear. We're currently paying our 2024 property taxes, and we're living in 2025. So for example, I have a lot of clients, and Dante, please make sure you tell your clients this, and you can refer them over to me because they will fight them. But if they don't know what to say and know what to do, they won't get their exemptions. So for example, you just purchased a home from Dante. That person was receiving a senior exemption. You bought the home in February or August of 2024. That person lived in that home through June 2024. They were receiving homeowners exemptions, seniors exemptions, and senior freeze exemption. That would equate to a $4,000 savings off that property. You get your tax bill, the second installment in Cook County always shows your exemptions, not the first installment. The first installment is automatically 55% of this year's tax bill. Up until about 8 years ago, it used to be 50%. Now the county wants 55%, hoping that people don't get their exemption. So let me get more upfront so that, hey, if no one says or fight in the back end, I have more upfront to deal with. I have more money to do what I want to do with it. But anyhow, that's a whole nother story. So the exemption, they get the tax bill and no exemptions are on there. You have to be strategic and know what to do and what to say and go to the assessor and say, hey, The previous owner lived here, I'm still entitled to exemptions. Now, the following year, you won't be because they were not in that household prior to that. So the exemption would be on you. What is your disposition now? Am I 65 or I'm just a homeowner? So now I only receive the homeowner's exemptions. Or am I a disabled veteran? So now I can apply as a homeowner for my exemptions, unless I lived in a home and bought a home that was a freshly built home or a house was vacant. You don't get those exemptions. But if a previous homeowner was living there and they had all these different exemptions, the property is still legal to receive the exemptions on behalf of the previous owner. So that's one thing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said,
I said that's great information.
Yes,
great
yes,
information.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then landlord. So there is a legal document that you must include in leases. I've had people, and they're doing this illegally, and this is not. I don't understand Cook County. I really don't, because Will County will tell you, other counties will tell you, hey, just give us the lease, blah 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 blah, and we can, get you these exemptions on behalf of your tenants legally. So if the tenant was, I got a landlord, she had over 5 properties, and she had the lease with the right information. Previously, they tried to say that she owed penalties and interest for receiving illegal homeowners exemptions, when the lease clearly stated that, you have to have the legal jargon in there that she can receive exemptions. So what we did was I submitted the information and went downtown with her, and we were able to go back for the years that the tenant was living in there, back 3 to 4 years, and receive exemptions on behalf of her senior tenant who was making less than $65,000. So not only did she receive homeowners exemption refunds, but she received this exemption refund for senior and senior freeze. So that was possibly $3,000 a year times 4. And of course, I get a percentage of that because I'm processing it, and 33%. But these are things that we do for people that they may not be aware of. And there's, of course, legalities to it. So you have to make sure you have all the things necessary and your boxes checked off in order to get it. But that is legal. You can receive on behalf of your tenant, as long as it's not more than a 2 flat. It could be a condo, a home, and a townhome that you're renting out to people and receive. And so if that person just received a homeowner's exemption, that's an automatic, maybe $1,000 or $1,500 off the property taxes that you don't have to worry about doing an appeal for, because the appeals are not guaranteed. No attorney, no property tax consultant can guarantee you that your property taxes will be lowered. We can all fight and do it, but it's no guarantee. But exemptions with the proper paperwork are 100% guaranteed. I'm talking a little too much, Dante. Let me know if you want to chime in and ask me some more questions, because I know you had a few questions for me. So chime in, because I can talk forever, as you can see, about property taxes.
No, you're passionate in what you do, and we appreciate you, because it's not something that's readily available information. And and all your points were hitting home. I had a property I was staying at in Oak Lawn, and I had moved from Oak Lawn to Downers Grove. And I remember, a year or 2 went by, and all of a sudden I got this bill in the mail, and it was a penalty, because they're like, "Hey, you're getting a homeowner exemption on this property, and you're not a homeowner there anymore," because they knew that I had moved.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't understand what
Mm-hmm.
that was, because I didn't even know that was a thing. Because once again, just how many people don't look at these tax bills on a every 6 months level. I just never even looked at it. I was a young guy, and I was like, what happened? I did what? And I had to pay like $3,500 for all this excess, and I was like, that's crazy.
You
And I
didn't
just,
have to pay. If you would have came to me and I would have
I
gave you
know.
the legal information to stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, but just to that point, how many people are out there that don't even look at these tax bills, don't even, and just get hit with penalties, and I don't want to go to jail. I don't want any
right.
problems, and I just
You
pay.
don't want them to take your property either.
That's true too. That's the most important. I had some stats. I'm a big numbers guy, as you know. It
Mhm.
said only about 5 to 10% of homeowners file an appeal.
I think in Cook County, it's a lot higher. We are the most complicated property tax system in the nation, and we have about 1.5 or something million people file an appeal every year. Um, Now, I don't know if that pertains
That's
to
nationwide.
Cook
Nationwide.
County.
Yeah, no, just
Okay, that's
nationwide.
nationwide. Just
Um,
nationwide. Yeah,
but
yeah.
but
I can definitely agree to that. I can definitely agree to that.
So then, with that being said, how do you file for an appeal? I mean, what's the process? What does it look like? I mean, am I just
So,
giving you my
so the
tax bill and that's
process.
it?
So you can get my book, Dollars and Deception, The Untold Truth About Property Taxes.
Mhm.
And I can give you, and it gives you step-by-step instructions. But basically is that you have to have an authorization, and this is nationwide. You have to have that application, fill out the application form. You have to have your letter of your evidence of what you're going to submit. So you have to have your small letter, brief, whatever you want to call it, argument, stating this is what you're requesting based on the evidence that you're submitting. So if you're using comparables or AKA lack of uniformity, which means, hey, my property is this. However, there's other properties in my area that's not too far from me and they're paying less. Or if I'm stating there's an error, a factual error, you stating I have a basement and a finished basement. I am a ranch. You're stating my property is worth 2,500 square feet and it's only 1,800 square feet. These are things you're placing in the letter or the brief. And then you have to have the evidence. So the evidence would be, pictures of the other property, their property cards you can pull offline stating, hey, these are the three properties or comparables. Their properties are less than mine. And why am I paying more? I can have a land survey showing that, hey, here's the square footage of my property. This is not correct in your system. Please correct. And then, in addition, you want to do a certificate of error with that, the correction of the square footage. There's a separate form that you do when you appeal. And then, hey, I got an appraisal. You saying my property is worth 500,000. I just got an appraisal. It's saying it is worth 450. And you could submit that as evidence. And then you attach all those three, submit it within the required timeline. So with everyone that lives in Cook in the Books County, I'm sorry, Cook County,
Slow
there
cook,
are
crook.
there are 38 townships, and they open at different times of the year at the assessors, and then also at the board of review. At the board of review, you must be if your property is, you can represent yourself.
Mhm.
But if your property is owned by a entity or a corporation, it must be filed by an attorney. So at the board of review level. And so those are things you must comply within their 30-day timeline. So the notification, sometimes I know with different counties, they send you out your assessment every year, different counties. Cook County only sends out a reassessment, or they call it the triennial reassessment, every 3 years. So the south suburbs of Illinois their reassessment was 2020. Let's see, was it 21, 22? Oh no, it might have been 2023. And the next one will be in 2026. So all 38 townships, their triennial reassessment, it differs. So the south suburbs of 2023, the northern suburbs might have been 2021. The south side of Chicago was last year, or it might be this year. I'm not quite sure. I think no, it was last year. The south side was last year, Chicago. So every 3 years, depending on the township you're in, the triennial reassessment, which is when the assessor can go in and increase your assessment. which is mostly what they do. They really never, ever go down. And then that number, again, that number is multiplied against the state rate and the local tax rate, and that determines your tax bill. Then you have to tell the county, hey, this is what I'm entitled to. I'm a senior, I'm a homeowner, or whatever. I'm a landlord that has a legal lease that I can receive these exemptions after the second tax bill comes out, which is where all the exemptions come on. In Cook County. So all the exemptions in Cook County are always on your second installment. I believe most other people, they're on there regardless. So the way they calculate your tax bill is automatically on there. And it's an epidemic, not just in Cook County. I mean, I can tell you, Will County is getting outrageous now. A lot of these counties it's like the new thing to do. I can get money by raising property taxes because like you said, the percentage, you said 5 to 10%, Dante?
5 to 10% of people actually do file an appeal.
File an appeal. Because
Nancy,
they think,
let's get your contact information. We got to do some housekeeping notes. What's your contact information?
So the website is ptreduction.com. That's P like in property, T like in tax, the word reduction.com. And you can fill out a free assessment and we'll let you know whether or not we can potentially appeal your property taxes, whether or not there's some errors going on with your property, and or find out, hey, you may have money owed to you. So those are things that we look up when you sign up and see it, and we notify you if you can become a client or not. Awesome. Got a little tongue tied. We also can be reached on our office number. We have 2 office numbers. We have a landline, but I also like to give my cell phone number because I can answer it at any time. My office cell phone number is 708-986-5301. That's 708-986-5301.
Awesome. Yeah. Now, this right now, right in time for our housekeeping notes. This episode today is sponsored by Epic Mortgage. Whether you're buying, investing, or refinancing, contact Epic today. That's 708-905-5300. That's 708-905-5300. It's your dreams, your goals. Let's plan together. Now, if you need a blueprint and a step-by-step playbook for turning your mortgage into a wealth building machine, the Ultimate Mortgage Guide is available. Check it out on Amazon.com. That's the Ultimate Mortgage Guide, authored by yours truly. Now, I will be available for, I'm doing a seminar or I'm doing some speaking engagement on September 14th. Attorney Prayer Legal Solutions. It has a home buyers brunch at Morgan Park United Methodist Church on September 14th at 1 o'clock. You know, it's got to be important because actually the Bears are going to be playing at 12 o'clock. So I'm actually going to miss the Bear game.
Oh my God.
And I thought it was a later game, but it's going to be right at 12, so I'm going to miss the game.
Oh, wow.
But I will be there. It's at 11030 South Longwood Drive, Chicago, Illinois. Everybody knows, they know me, know I'm a big time Bear fan. So for me to miss the game,
wow.
I'm going to bring my A game to Morgan Park United Methodist Church. I'll be there this coming Sunday. And then after this conversation, after Epic Lunch and Learn, make sure you check out our YouTube channel, Epic Spotlight. We have our latest Epic Spotlight interview that was with Brent Wilk. He's a seasoned realtor. Brent understands the deep trust his clients place in him and works relentlessly to exceed expectations. His story is a masterclass in professionalism and client care. So when you have an opportunity after this show, make sure you check out our Epic Spotlight interview featuring Brent Wilk. Now, we do have some preferred listings. These are properties that are on the market today. Hopefully, they're gone tomorrow, and we'd love to help you get pre-approved with them. We know the listing agent, and it might give you a better chance of getting your offer accepted. It's 8228 South LaSalle, Chicago, Illinois. Property's going for $250,000. It's a 3-bed, 1-bath. Contact Amico Pope, 312-600-7673. We also have 1413 East End, Chicago Heights. It's a commercial storage unit. It's going for $165,000. Contact Amico once again at 312-600-7673. We also have another commercial property because we do commercial lending as well at 1645 Western Avenue, Chicago Heights, Illinois, going for $339,000. contact Keith Terry, 773-655-1360. We have a condo. We have a couple condos that are on the market, 6945 South of Dorchester Avenue, Unit 2S. It's a 3-bed, 1-bath. Contact Evelyn Wood, 773-718 9742. Can barely read my writing. And then we have 2030 East 72nd Place, Unit 3D, Chicago, going for 109. It's a 2-bed, 1-bath. Contact Evelyn Wood, 773-718-9742. And then we do have 9049 South Parnell Avenue. It's going for 279-980. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath. Contact Sebastian Kupiec at 773-430-8988. And we also have 1605 South 16th Avenue, Maywood, Illinois, going for 250. It's a 4-bed, 1-bath. Contact Tamika Bishop, 630-479-6352. You can see all those properties on my website at www.danteroyster.com. You go to danteroyster.com, you can see all our preferred listings. Now, we did get some comments along the way, so I appreciate everyone listening. So they got some questions. So let's answer the audience's questions, and we will take it from there. We'll start off with Richard. He says, are most homeowners really overpaying without knowing? What would you say to that?
Absolutely. I want to cuss, but I'm not a cusser. Well, hell is not a cuss word, but hell yeah, especially in Cook County, especially. And let me tell you why. I think, and Dante, you and I spoke about this. Me being a real estate investor, and that's how I started this business in 1994. I bought my first home at the age of 24. And being born and raised in the South suburbs, I started trying to buying and flipping homes. And I noticed that 95% of my expenses were property taxes. So that's how I learned how to lower the property taxes. And I found out then that we were paying higher than most other towns, surrounding smaller townships, of course, the city of Chicago. And the same thing that they would always say, we don't have that many businesses. We don't have that many businesses. We don't have many businesses. And that's why our property taxes. But that's not the truth. That's not the truth. There's areas such as Darien. There's areas such as Downers Grove. They're not paying the higher property taxes, as you mentioned, that they are. And there's not Barrington. There's not stores in Barringtons. Is there stores in Barringtons? Is there industrials and commercial properties in Barrington, Illinois? No. Nowhere. The value, the size, the amenities that they're paying in property taxes compared to the South suburbs. You can have $1 million home in Barrington and they can pay $15,000. This was maybe 5 or 10 years ago. And you can have a $400,000 home in Matson and pay $25,000. That's absurd. Country Club Hills.
And to your point, the concept of real estate taxes were, hey, we will charge the commercial, the commercial companies, commercial lending or commercial listings, will charge those buildings more in taxes, and then we'll give the relief to the residents. And so it used to be that kind of mindset where, hey, we're looking for towns that have businesses there because they'll get charged more, and obviously the residents would benefit. But to your point, you're saying that's not the case anymore. It doesn't matter. That's not the case.
It really doesn't matter, because most of the time when the businesses do come to different areas, and that's just nationwide, they're looking for property tax credits. Mm-hmm. They're giving them tips, as they call it in the state of Illinois. They're giving them incentives. They're giving them in New York and wherever. I need a discount because I'm coming to bring sales revenue, state revenue.
Employment.
Yes, employment. Right. And so the property taxes, they say, oh, well, we'll give you a discount. And so, yes, it is disproportionately I'm going to call it like it is, higher tax rates in the Black area. And there's been news to justify, and I have some stats and some newspaper. I need to give it to you as well, Dante, where they actually did some research from the 70s. for the disproportionate high property taxes in the state of Illinois, especially in the south suburbs or the Black areas. And so, yes, absolutely. Secondly, I think there were some of the reliefs. These are some of my suggestions that I spoke to you about. Is when a person buy a home, why should their property taxes go up just because it's a triennial reassessment? There should be a tax law that states that these taxes, based on the month and a year you purchase, that you cannot increase these property taxes 50%, 30%, 40%, 10% for at least 3 years. It should be a set property tax bill for 3 years to continue with the real estate industry, keep the market going, make sure homeowners can have a place to stay and feel comfortable. Because most people are not getting on their jobs 40 and 50% raises. So why would you increase their property taxes as such?
Right.
So yes,
Now,
absolutely.
we got another question here from Rick. How do I know if my property is assessed too high?
So you can basically, depending on Cook County, there's a 10-year tax portal. There's a 10 to 20-year property taxes history. And the tax portal, the first one is a 4 to 5 year tax history. And if you look at your tax bill and you've seen your taxes just go up $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 within 1 or 3 years, you probably overpaying in property taxes.
And that's a part of the appeal process, right? Just to go ahead and do the appeal.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right, we got another question from Kenneth. I think you answered this already, but can I appeal my taxes every year or only once?
Every single year you can appeal your property taxes. I have clients, I have a program where we charge a flat rate fee. Well, all of my fees are flat rate fees, but we do have a 3-year membership program where we appeal for you every single year.
And do you have to continue to like reapply the exemptions, or are they automatically stay on?
So homeowners exemptions, seniors exemptions are every year applicable. The senior freeze, you have to apply every year because they don't know your income if you make more than 65,000. The disabled veterans, you don't have to apply every year. And then the disability, you do, sometimes they want you to provide that they do want you to apply, supply that 2025 or 2024 letter to show that you're still disabled, because maybe you're not disabled anymore. So disability, disabled, senior freeze, absolutely.
Can come and go. You know, I'm curious about that. If I had a, let's say I had a house I'm living in, and you know, I'm just on fixed income, I'm on Social Security, but I do have this house that I inherited down in Mississippi, and I sell the house in Mississippi. The proceeds from that sale, could that, obviously that impacts my income. So in theory, I could lose my senior freeze for that 1 year of me selling that property.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that's good to know. Interesting. All right, we got another one here from Jeff. What documents should I prepare before filing an appeal?
So if you're depending on where you're at, most counties are asking for up-to-date pictures now. So they want an up-to-date picture with your home with a date on it. With Cook County, they want the actual, well, if you're doing it on your own, they don't necessarily want it. But if you do a property tax consultant such as myself, they want an up-to-date picture. But if you're filing on your own, Cook County, let me just tell you about Cook County, they're not requesting that you update the picture. You want to gather in the assessor's website, depending on your county, you want to gather other homes similar within your area within a 3 to 5 miles radius that have lower assessment than yours. So you want to make sure that the square footage is plus or minus 500. Could be 500 more, 500 less. You want to make sure that the classification is correct. So if you have a 203 and it says, oh, it's less than 1,800 square feet, you want to also make sure that you're apples to apples and not apples to dogs. So you want to make sure the classifications are correct. You also want to gather if you have a recent purchase price, and maybe your recent purchase price is lower than that. Used to be my evidence a lot in the 2011, 12, 13 era. Maybe your purchase price was less than what they're stating it was worth, and you had a natural MLS. You didn't know, I think it's arm's length, right, Dante, where you don't know
Correct.
the individual.
Correct.
It's a regular natural MLS, arm's length transaction. Then you can use that as evidence to support your argument. Or again, as I mentioned earlier, hey, I'm looking at this appraisal. The appraisal said that, hey, I haven't had any updates. I haven't did anything to my house. My house does not work with the assessor stating because I haven't done anything. They came in and they stated that it was $30,000, $40,000 less. You know, you might have to pay for that appraisal for $500, but hey, it might save you $1,500 over 2 to 3 years each. I mean, every year, you know, so up to 3 years, depending on when your reassessment cycle is. So you can appeal today and your reassessment come next year and it goes back up, or you could appeal today and got it down and your reassessment cycle is not for another 3 years and you keep those savings for 3 years. But it depends. My suggestion is that you fight every year, because I believe that's one of the reasons why the state of Illinois, in addition to some other crooked things that happened, why our property taxes are so high. Because again, you mentioned most of the people do not appeal. They do not fight back.
You know, I had a question, you know, as far as expectations of this appeal. I did look, and they said in some counties, a successful appeal can reduce annual tax bills by $500 to $1,500. So what is an average, you know, expectation? Like, is it going to cut it in half? Am I saving only $500? What would you say?
I would say everything counts. I would say anywhere. I would say that is almost identical to the numbers that I basically state when I'm potentially clients are hiring me, anywhere from $800 to $1,500 that I would state that your appeal would lower by. That could be good for up to 3 years. Now, when you said half the price, what you're currently paying, sometimes based on vacancy, if you have a property and you're gutting and you're rehabbing and it's uninhabitable, you can ask and request a reassessment on half of that property because it's uninhabitable. And so if the property was vacant for a whole year, it would normally be worth $10,000. You can request that the property tax bill would be $5,000. That would be a request on a vacant property.
Got it.
Or a property that's demolished and it's just land now. So, yeah.
All right, we got another question here. Appreciate everyone putting in questions. Appreciate that.
Yes, come with them. Come with them.
John writes, do property assessors ever make intentional mistakes?
Intentional?
Intentionally, he wrote down, but I mean, I don't think it's, how do you even prove that if it's intentional?
So this is my opinion. Let me just tell you my perspective and my opinion doing reducing property taxes for over 30 years, being trained by some of the best competitors out there that's currently doing what I do. I did some studying under their tutelage. And what I realized is that the property tax system in the state of Illinois is skewed. It is incorrect, improperly calculated from the foundation. Because if you only looking at market value property in an area where there is not very much income, that does not constitute for you to double and triple a property tax bill. Because I've gotten clients who tax bill was $4,000, and this was in the news under the assessors, Cook County assessors. It went from $4,000 to $9,000. Her mortgage was $900. It went to $2,400 elderly lady. She cannot afford it. But based on the market value, it appeared correctly. But if you are a senior, if you've never done anything to this house, or if you're doing minor repairs and you've been in there 30 years, why should your property tax bill go from $4,000 to $8,000? There should be some other calculations, some human, tangible, economic things or strategies that goes into calculating it. So my opinion, the whole property tax system is flawed. The way they include all these increase of these schools, and the superintendent, I'm just going to speak, can make $400,000 or $500,000 and not do anything. It's skewed. So the school system can tell you, hey, we need this. And then there's waste. I know people that work in politics and it's wasted. And so based on their stating that we need this information for the schooling, but they can do whatever they want, however they want, based on the budget that they decide. And we just have to, it's on the back and the burdens of the property owners. That's not fair.
You think a flat tax is the best way? Just we all have a percentage, whatever the total is that is necessary, needed for the state to function. We just divide it up by residents. I mean, is that just what we're going to lean towards?
It could be that. It could be an income-based tax rate based on your income. It should be based on your area. Part 4 is, as we know, they have the highest local tax rate in the nation. Even Thornton Township, which is where I grew up, under Thornton Township, I think it's second under Part 4. All predominantly Part 4 wasn't predominantly Black back in the day, but now it is. And it's unfortunate that the local tax rates are killing people, and they're not killing, literally killing, but it's killing people home ownership.
Financially it is.
Yeah, financially. And then also, like I mentioned earlier, there should be like okay, so if I'm moving this home and I just bought it, and politics, that this property was based on my income, what I make. How can you just tell me now I could not even qualify for this home with my income had I not did all this due diligence with the mortgage company, making sure that I am qualified to pay this mortgage. And then all of a sudden the tax bill comes out and it knocks me out of me being able to keep my home.
That's an excellent point. I mean, and I didn't even think of it like that, but it's like, hey, I qualified for the mortgage, I bought the house, and now you've increased it where I don't qualify. I couldn't even buy the same house. And also another detriment to high real estate taxes is the probability of appreciation. We live off, especially in real estate, we live off appreciation over time. This house is going to continue to grow and grow, and that's how I can sell. I got a customer right now that it lives in Connecticut, going to move to Texas. And based on the appreciation, they're able to sell their house, and they can make that decision whether they even need a mortgage for the Texas or just pay for it cash because of what has accrued over time. And you don't get that in high real estate tax areas because the appreciation will never be there, because they always are going to have to keep the valuations low as far as the purchase price is concerned for affordability issues.
Absolutely.
That's a shame.
Absolutely. I've had people that tell me they couldn't sell their property because of the high property taxes. So
yeah, it's a major issue, and that's why I wanted to bring you on. It is a topic that needs to be discussed and talked about and shared because of the situation, that what it can do, the detriment that it can bring to certain areas, certain and to your point, even income situations. When people are on fixed income, I mean, the whole goal is to one day be financially free and be retired. But as soon as you put that pension and Social Security, you're locked in. This is all that's coming in. And now you might have to go get a job. You might have to be a greeter somewhere because you need more income.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Nothing is worse in the world when you finally retire from that job, and then after a year, you recognize you got to go back to work.
Nothing at all.
That's tough. Couple. We got two more questions, and then we can wrap this up. We
Okay.
Do all states allow homeowners to appeal assessments?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And that's, again, you can get my book off of Amazon, Dollars and Deception, The Untold Truth About Property Taxes. It's on Amazon.
Awesome. Make sure everyone get a copy of this book because it's very important, the stuff we're talking about today. And then Jeff writes, is there a deadline each year to file an appeal?
Absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, if you're in Cook County, those are rolling dates and deadlines, and they are subject to change anytime. That you can have your appeal sometime in March, and you may have your appeal sometime at the assessor's level. It could be in March, it could be in September. So it's just based on their triennial reassessments of the townships. But those normally are a 30-day given window. You normally have 30 days to appeal. And some in other townships outside of Cook County, it's 30 days. It can come, Will County can be DuPage County, Kane County. It can be anywhere from through August through November. And those dates are given out whenever they tell you that they're going to come out. It's not like a set time on non-Cook Township. However, Cook County, most of them, all of them have, you can talk to the assessor and the board of review. There's two types of appeals, the assessor, the local assessor, and you can also appeal with the board of review. As I mentioned, the board of review is normally through an attorney. And so you just have to watch those deadlines for both.
Awesome. And, Nancy, why don't you take time again and give out your information, your contact information for people that need your assistance?
Okay, so again, I'm Nancy King. I call myself the property tax queen. As you can tell, God has blessed me with a plethora of information and helping homeowners save millions of dollars off their property taxes over the past couple of decades, and also millions of dollars in refunds for errors that people were not aware of. So please reach us at ptreduction.com. That's ptreduction.com. Or you can reach us at 708-986 5301. That's 708-5301. And last but not least, we do have a deed monitoring program that we monitor your homes, where if there's liens or foreclosures, assignments, and things of that nature that you are not aware of, every month we will notify you if there's anything going on with your property, and also submit to the attorneys that can help you. So it's a monthly process, not just when the county alert you that there's been something going on with the title change. We also let you know of other things as well. So we have a deed monitoring program that we also have as well.
And what's that phone number?
708-986-5301.
They say Americans pay over $360 billion annually in property taxes. It's the single largest source of local government revenue. So we need to pay a little bit more attention to that bill and how we can reduce, and just pay our fair share, right? I mean, we just want to ultimately pay our fair share.
Yes.
No, thank you so much for coming. No, we blew right through it. We got it done.
Yes. Yes.
It was great information. Great to catch up with you and see you. It's been a
Yes.
while.
Yes.
You doing well? Everything's good?
Everything's well. My youngest just got off to college, Georgia State, and I'm an empty nester now. Thank God.
Whoa, congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
I probably got another decade before, maybe even a decade and a half before I could say that. So I'm still at home. But no, I appreciate you. Tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow we will have Matthew Sudica on the call with me tomorrow. We will be talking about some commercial insurance. So that's an interesting topic to talk about. We got a busy week. We got a full Monday through Thursday. We're available 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. We will be here just trying to provide more information, more topics like this. Love to have you back on, Nancy, down the road so we can continue to talk about this and just methods and ways. I guess we'll bring you back on once whenever we get that
Tax
second
bill, I
installment.
know,
Yeah.
that's another thing.
Yeah, well, once we get that tax bill, we'll bring you on. That way we can actually have a tax bill we can kind of show as an example and maybe walk through
Yes,
so people know what to look out for, because I know that's important.
absolutely. Mhm.
Awesome. Well, thank
They
you
can-
guys so much. Epic Lunch and Learn. We're out for today. I got to go back to work. Thank you, Nancy, and we will talk soon.
All right, God
All
bless.
right. Bye-bye.